representatives of the IEC just to make sure that they count, they wrap up, they really must go home. They've been on the ground from when we started special voting, but also have been receiving reports from observer missions, which we appreciate. Some will be briefing as we continue and wrapping up these elections. Also, the HSRC had their briefing earlier on. I'm hoping that you are picking up some of the information which is valuable for our democracy. Welcome to everybody. May I request people who are on the floor, please, to keep the noise levels down for us. I know it's exciting, but we also must be able to hear each other. If you can keep the noise levels down. There's also a request, anyone who's asking a question, they're being requested to stand up for the sake of cameras. So on that note, let's get the show on the road. CEO Mama Bono, let's get going.
Good afternoon, everybody present. The Electoral Commission is pulling all stops to ensure the finalization of the capturing and auditing of the results for the 2024 national and provincial elections and remains on course to complete this process imminently. As indicated yesterday, counting at all voting stations is now complete, and we have results, copies of the results at our local offices. The process underway is capturing them onto our system for tallying and eventual seat calculation. So far, 71.76 results have been captured. The progress relating to the capturing of results per province is as follows. The Eastern Cape is at 92.13%. The Free State is at have been captured. The progress relating to the capturing of results per province is as follows. The Eastern Cape is at 92.13%. The Free State is at 95.52%. Gauteng is at 75.33%. KwaZulu-Natal, 75.37%. Mpumalanga, it's at 91.94%. The Northern Cape, it's at 100%. Limpopo, 80%. Northwest, 88%. Western Cape, 88%. We wish to remind South Africans that the ballots were counted at the voting stations where they were cast. At all times, this is done in the presence of party agents, independent candidate agents, and observers who monitor the entire counting and results collation process. The results are available in real time on our websites and other public-facing channels. Of course, we regret the incident this morning when the leaderboards at the result centers and our website could not display the results. We wish to emphasize that our system did not crash as reported, and no data was compromised. The Commission went into the election with a full spectrum of an ICT plan, which includes backups and recovery where such were necessary. In this case, this was not necessary. The incident involved the activation of a necessary control not to display leaderboards, which is a feature of the result system. Result capturing and other result collation activities proceeded without interruption. The Commission will declare the results of this election sometime over the weekend, after which the list of elected representatives will be published in the Government Gazette and thereafter handed over to the Chief Justice for purposes of convening the first meeting of the National Assembly. I wish to thank you.
Thank you very much, CEO. I'm going to open the floor for questions. Please remember, if someone has asked, don't repeat. It makes it easier. The commissioners and CEO must go and make sure that as results come, they support provinces on the ground. I'm going to start on this block and then from then move here, and then I'm going to wrap up that way. Let's start at this side first. May I please have the microphones?
Good afternoon, guys. Kosnati Shazi from Power FM News. I just have one question regarding the statistics of out-of-country special votes. I just checked the website and it hasn't been updated regarding out-of-country votes. Have you guys completed the counting? What is the voter turnout? And can we access that information so that we can find out what our patriots overseas voted for? Siyabonga.
May I request those who are asking questions to please stand up for cameras? It's not me. Ne? Yeah, thank you. Thanks, sis.
Thanks, House Kate. It's Natasha Puri here from SABC News.
Volume
Mr.
Kanyani.
Sorry.
Thank you.
Mr. Mamabolo, in light of what you said, the leaderboard did not crash, but there was just something wrong with the system. But in light of that, do you take responsibility? Does the IC take responsibility of what happened earlier on? And then, can I just ask, the presentation by the HSRC cited that some of the reasons for the long queues was not reflective of a high voter turnout, but some of the glitches of the IEC. Your reflections on that, please. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Let's proceed.
Abiwem Dila from ENCA. Just on the spoiled votes, do you have an idea of how many spoiled votes there were and if they would necessarily have an impact? And just secondly, the international observers, while they may not have handed their report over, some suggest that while the elections themselves were transparent, they weren't necessarily fair because of the myriad of glitches, of course, that I'm sure you're well aware of, which led to many people even turning away and not practicing their democratic right. Just your response to that. Thank you.
Thanks, I'm Hawalo Magolego from UFM. Mr. Mamabolo, you know, upon conclusion of special voting, you said there was a clear agenda to undermine the credibility of the election. I want to find out if you still hold such a view. If so, how do you qualify it? And why shouldn't South Africans start being suspicious of yourselves as the IEC, considering that after you made that statement, there were so much glitches on your part, resulting in some of the people, no, it's recorded. I can show you in your own live broadcast. Thank you.
Okay.
Hi, good
Okay,
afternoon.
I've got, yes, thanks, Faith.
Faith Daniels from ENCA. I just wanted to check if we have any idea in terms of final tally of how many people voted now. And then the second question is the HSRC survey that was presented this morning. An interesting thing that came out was the electronic voting system and the interest in that. And they said that it was something for the IEC to look at. I just wanted to know if you have a comment on that in terms of what exactly or where exactly the talks are in terms of that.
Okay. Faith, can you just repeat your question, just to be on the safe side?
Which one?
Either one you've just asked.
The HSRC
Yes.
survey.
Yeah.
Okay, so this morning they presented a survey, done in terms of particular questions that they asked people who voted. And there were some indications of people leaning towards electronic voting, right? The numbers weren't that great, but there's indications that there's interest. And they said that it is something for the IEC to look at. I just want to know like how far talks are and how far off we are in terms of generally looking at it.
Thank you very much. I'm going to take the last round afterwards. Let me just allow the team to take this batch of questions. Then I'm moving to that block. Thank you very much. Ke a leboga.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's again a good thing to be with you and to share with you, the progress we have so far based on the questions you put to us. As we indicated yesterday, there was quite a bit of work we still needed to do. And I'm glad that it is evident that that work we promised we will do continues to happen. But the questions you have are important in that they are clarified by some of it, but you have these additional questions. Let me deal thematically with the issues. The HSRC survey, as you heard, this is a longitudinal survey that we have undertaken in every election. It is composed of two parts. One is undertaken before elections and another after elections. Before elections, as we indicated, we get to know the concerns of South Africans ahead of the elections. In other words, what are the kind of things they expect of us to do and the environment in which we work. And we use that extensively to prepare for an election. One is undertaken before elections and another after elections. Before elections, as we indicated, we get to know the concerns of South Africans ahead of the elections. In other words, what are the kind of things they expect of us to do and the environment in which we work. And we use that extensively to prepare for an election. After or on election day, they do a satisfaction survey, which is what was presented here today. The pre-election survey, I think we presented to the nation in August last year, widely publicized and what that entailed. I ask you to please go onto their website and look at the results of the survey they concluded on election day. They do raise issues, and it is evident that the issues they raise only relate to people that have voted, because they stood at the door, at the where people leave the voting station after voting, and they polled those people. The questions about electronic voting and things were indeed important for them to deal with, because every election we want to know what the attitude is. But in this election in particular, it was necessary, not because we planned it that way, but to see what the attitude of South Africans is. And I think they say a very important thing as I listened to one of the questions. They are saying the people that have come in the morning, generally who voted in a short space of time, were very happy. The people who voted late and were in the queues for long were happy with voting, but they think that electronic voting may be a thing that would help us in the future to deal with the issue of the queues. They are not, and I want to leave this to yourselves, to look at it. For us as the commission, we have indicated to you before these elections began that there are a number of measures that we have put in place to ensure the integrity of these elections. The HSRC survey is indeed one of them. It's not the only one, it's one of them. And you will have noted that at the end of the day, one of the things they ask is whether voters do in fact believe that our staff were helpful, that the election in general was conducted in a manner that they would say it's free and fair. And they have given you those results. We are not saying we are making a determination. We are saying it's one of the many things that are in our toolkit. We are going to look at everything that has happened in this election. We are going to assess every observation, every objection made, and the results themselves. And taking all of the, the measures we have put in place, the commission will then be in a position to deal with, to certify the elections as we are required in terms of the Constitution and the law. I thought I should make that plain so that you know that we have not gotten to that point, but we are beginning to receive the reports from observers, the reports that we have, like the HSRC one, the work that we are doing as results get in, the objections, all of those things will then help us to conclude the election appropriately. I thought we needed to come clear, indicate to you where we are, and appreciate the questions you raised. Thank you very much.
No, thank you very much for the questions. The out-of-country tally, we don't have it here on stage, but it's available on the results report. So any terminal that is available, you can draw the those results. They are captured and finalized. Do we take responsibility? We take responsibility for the entirety of the electoral process as the commission. From the registration of voters right through to disseminating information to South Africans and the world. So if we momentarily experience the problem, it is indeed our problem. Hence, we had a plan to deal with situations such as those. So we take responsibility for the entirety of the electoral process. We don't have a tally of spoiled votes at this stage because the results are still being captured. At the point where we've reached 100%, we should be able to give you an authoritative account of spoiled votes. We've not seen yet the reports of the observer groups. We will look at them, and once we've looked at them thoroughly, perhaps we will have comment at that point. Again, turnout, we will know when we've captured everything.
As promised, let me take the last group of questions. There were hands from this side. Where's the microphone, please? Let's assist.
Good afternoon, Raymond from Network
Please stand up. The cameras have requested. Thank you.
Raymond from Network 24. I just want to know regarding objections. How many objections was raised by political parties? Can you give a breakdown per province and what are the nature of those objections? And also, how many has been concluded and how many of those objections has been ironed out? Thank you.
Two questions. Firstly, what is the IEC's plan in solving the issue of spoiled votes and the better education of voter etiquette, especially for those who may not have such information as accessible to them? And secondly, what are your suggestions or implementations of better involving the youth who are under the age of 18 in the process of voting, such that when they get to the age of 18, it is not an awkward or unknowledgeable experience for them?
I've got the last question here in the middle.
Good afternoon, it's Wikanyo, MDN TV. I just want to pose a question regarding the voting station, because as we were moving around, we realized that there was a network clashes. So I just want to check with the IEC that when you select a station, did you do verification network? Because other areas you'd find that generally they are having a network issue. Thank you.
Thank you. The last one here. Kopaskanka Maikine. Okay. Thank you. Continue. Ke a leboga.
Thank you very much. My name
Such information as accessible to them? And secondly, what are your suggestions or implementations of better involving the youth who are under the age of 18 in the process of voting, such that when they get to the age of 18, it is not an awkward or unknowledgeable experience for them?
I've got the last question here in the middle.
Good afternoon, it's Wikanyo, MDN TV. I just want to pose a question regarding the voting station, because as we were moving around, we realized that there was a network clashes. So I just want to check with the IEC that when you select a station, did you do verification network? Because other areas you'd find that generally they are having a network issue. Thank you.
Thank you. The last one here. Kopaskanka Maikine. Okay. Thank you. Continue. Ke a leboga.
Thank you very much. My name is Lunga from the Mail and Guardian. I just have two questions. One, do you think that the IEC did enough to educate people about the issues of voting where they were supposed to vote? Because a lot of them were turned away in stations where they just went and wanted to vote. And the second one would be that, considering that there were a lot of people that turned out at night, would it be not ideal for the future that maybe the elections runs for 2 days instead of 1 day? Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, CEO. Let's tackle the last batch of questions as we wrap up counting. Chairperson, Tlarutus.
Let me start with you, Lunga. The question you ask, we can never avoid and not deal with, because as I indicated, we have to assess it and deal with whether there was education or there was no education. And some of the reports do help us do that. Spoiled ballots and other things will help us come to that. But I do want to say that, for example, in the report this morning released by the HSRC, they did in fact look at that question. And in fact, they say so, having had a representative sample, they say we have done better than we have done in the last election on that score. The report is available to you. I'm not saying it's the final word on the matter. I'm saying it's part of the looking at. The question of elections being conducted over 2 days, it's a constitutional matter. The Constitution is clear, it must be 1 day. So it's not a question for the Commission, it's a question that the nation would have to look at. The question concerning the breakdown of objections, how many per province, I don't have those details, but I can assure you the exact number as we sit now with is 36. We accept that these are not the final objections in the elections, but these are matters that have been drawn to our attention. We have dealt with over 15 of those already, and we are communicating with the objectors. I trust this clarifies the questions that you had put before me. Kolobe, help with that.
Thank you very much. The voter education for young persons, we do have a partnership with the Department of Basic Education, together with the Provincial Departments of Education. We have a program called the Schools Democracy Week, which runs in April to coincide with Freedom Day. In that week, we are active within the formal schooling system on issues related to civic and voter education. So it's an annual program that we have in partnership with the departments of education. Have we done a survey of voting station? Indeed, we have. Now, there are very few, no, maybe that's not correct. There are a number of voting stations which don't have all the required amenities. As a result, we have to supplement with those facilities, even including basic things such as pollution facilities, water. We've got to provide generators and so on. So, because South Africa remains a country of uneven development, because there are voting stations with ideal facilities and a substantial number which do not have all facilities. And then it's incumbent upon the Commission to make provision. So we've done the survey and we supplemented according to the outcomes of that survey. I think we addressed all the questions. As I conclude, I just want to acknowledge Dr. Bam. Thank you very much for your presence. We really appreciate you. Thank you.
On that note, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. Definitely we're in the company of icons of electoral democracy, former chairperson, Dr. Bam Galeboeg. We'll keep in touch on developments. Definitely the screen is the big news. So let's keep in touch. Thank you very much. All our platforms are available. Galeboeg, we'll see you around. Thank you.
IEC for what has happened, because you can't be spending this amount of money. You can't tell us you're election ready. When concerns are raised, you brush those aside and say, no, it's all fine. And then we see the omni shambles that happen on election day. We are considering, I've got my attorneys here, we are busy looking at a variety of options because I think that the IEC are, for all parties, have caused significant damage to our share of the votes. And it cannot be business as usual for the IEC after this election. We gave them another chance after the shambles in the 2021 election, which we believe cost us the Nelson Mandela Bay Metro, because the same long queues, voters being fed up and leaving the queues. We're not going to let them get away again with a second omni shambles. We need to sort the IEC out. They need to be fit for purpose. They need to be able to do their job properly. And we cannot ever have a situation like we had. And I want to thank those voters who stayed in the queues during the course of these very difficult 24 hours of voting. Thank you for staying in the queues. And I promise you this, we are going to hold the IEC accountable for the 8, 6, 5 hours that people had to stand in the queue to vote. And for all of those South Africans, never and never again will we allow the IEC to go into an election as ill-prepared and shambolic as clearly this situation was in this election.
How would you rate your performance as DA leader?
We've grown. I think that's good. We've won significant support back. We've won new voters. I'm very pleased with that. And I hope you're going to be all asking Mr. Ramaphosa and Mr. Malema and all the people whose parties have declined, how they rate their leadership. What you want as a political party is to grow. We've grown. I've been very pleased with the result, and I think it provides us a good springboard for the 2026 local government elections, where we look to take more metros away from the ANC and to complete the electoral demolition of the ANC's majority wherever it may exist.
So you would describe your job as safe at this stage?
Pardon?
Would you say your job is safe at this stage, based on the provisional outcome?
Well, of course my job is safe. The DA has grown. All of you in the media wrote us off. You said I was going to get 17% of the vote. You said Steenhuisen could never grow the DA. I've got more black votes than Mr. Maimane got when he was a leader. I think the DA is very happy with my performance. I'm happy with my performance. I'm very happy with my party's performance. And we are strong. We're ready to contest in the 2026 elections. And we're ready to keep growing, because that's what it's all about in politics. You've got to keep growing.
Mr. Steenhuisen, Mr. Steenhuisen.
Continues. I think the DA is on track for a good election result. We're back in business, and let me tell you, a party with 22, 23, 24% in an era when no party's got a majority becomes a major player when it comes to determining the future lay of the land. So
there's a lot of chatter about the multi-party charter and how it has served the DA, but hasn't served the rest of those opposition parties that are in that opposition. We're seeing how badly the action, let's say, results are faring in comparison to the DA, not to compare the two parties, but not receiving that same benefit as the DA. How do you reflect on this MPC? Was it a direct strategy for the DA to bring this opposition in order to gain this increase in the
no, not at all. We entered the multi-party charter because we believed then, and we still fundamentally believe, that bringing together people around common shared values and principles is going to be the way we proceed. Obviously, I am disappointed in some of the results. Actually, they told us they were going to bring 10.56% vote to the table. We made an undertaking that we would bring the bulk of what would be needed to get to the 50% plus one. Look, I still think it's early days. There's urban areas have still got to come in big numbers. But yes, I mean, it's been my desire for the multi-party charter to go over the edge. This wasn't the strategy. We made sure that we assisted with funding. We helped some of the smaller parties. We put in touch with donors so that they could run their activities. And obviously, I would like to see them doing a bit better. But this is what the people have chosen to vote, and I think we've got to respect that.
And then, of course, we look at the national ballot, and we can see that the top three is the ANC, the DA, and the MK party. They've not been able to under those spots. Now we're looking at the DA to see is that relationship or that coalition with the ANC going to be formed come the end of those results being declared, and looking at the next government for South Africa.
Well, look, I mean, I think it's a very good day for South Africa. When I said, tomorrow is a better country, well, today is a better country. we said for the last 30 years that the way to rescue South Africa is to break the ANC's majority. We've done that. They're going to end up in the low 40s. And that obviously opens up a whole new universe for politics in South Africa, for us to break the log jams and to start building something better for the people of South Africa and our country. And we stand ready to play our role in that as a responsible party and the second largest party. As I've said before, we've got to wait for the results to end before we can start any major discussions. But my first port of call is going to be with my multi-party charter partners. We 10 other parties. Once the final results are up, we will have a meeting and we will discuss together what we think the next step forward should be for us to work together. We've built up enormous trust over the course of the last year of working together, and the joint policy synthesis that we've been working on, the joint approach, has led to, I think, quite a good working relationship. And so I would like to chat to them before we open up any other discussions. I'm not reading anything out at this stage. I'm just saying that I think it's too premature to make a call either way, and that my first loyalty and commitment is to the multi-party charter.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Mr. Steenhuisen, so please walk that way so the crowd can see. That was Ron Steenhuisen, the official opposition, just reflecting on
It's not a live piece, it's a recorded piece for a final package. Just when you're answering the questions, it's just on the floor.
People of charity, she'll
Yeah.
do your
Colleagues,
stuff.
just give them time. We will get to you. Everyone's going to get an opportunity. David, just shout when you're ready. Yep, okay. Follow me. Right, you're gonna need to back away.
Can you hang this one on me?
Yeah.
Because we've organized something. Thank you very much. Thank you. So how are you doing? Tell me, this is a watershed moment for South Africa. What does it mean for this country that you have the situation with the ANC problems?
Well, I think it's great. It's a sign that our democracy is working. The people of South Africa have punished a government that's failed to deliver, that's pushed people into unemployment queue, and has been mired in corruption. This is how accountability takes place in a democracy. And I'm delighted. For 30 years, we've been working to break the ANC's majority. That moment has finally come, and it's opened up a whole new universe now for South Africa. South Africa is no longer the ANC South Africa. It is now a new universe where more voices and more people are going to have to be listened to in determining the future direction of the country.
There has been, if not chaos, very difficult issues with coalitions at the local level. Is South Africa's democracy ready for coalition government?
Absolutely. And what analysts make the mistake of doing is looking at coalitions in South Africa through the lens of Johannesburg and Ekurhuleni only. We're involved in over 35 coalitions in the country with a variety of different players. They deliver good, clean, accountable government to places as diverse as Richards Bay in KwaZulu-Natal and Saldanha Bay in the Western Cape, which tied with Midwall as the best-run local municipality. Coalitions can work. They work all over the world. Germany's had some of its most prosperous growth under economies through coalition governments. It requires maturity, and yes, there can be choppy waters ahead for South Africa, but we'll navigate them. And the DA is going to be a major player now as the second largest party in the country to navigate those waters and to start determine the new direction that the country needs to travel.
Do you want to be part of a governing coalition?
Of course, I mean, your whole point of being in politics is to get into government. As we've shown in the Western Cape, that's when you can really make a difference. The only reason we've been able to grow the economy there, create jobs, deliver clean, accountable government is through getting a majority or getting into government. Our pathway to government in the Western Cape was initially through coalitions and now through outright majority. So we are going to be a player in this, a serious player in the new waters that lie ahead.
Former President Jacob Zuma, who has a host of allegations of corruption over many years against him, his party has done very well in this election. What does that tell you about the state of politics in South Africa?
Well, I think that Mr. Zuma is a very popular individual, and I think the ANC's inability to hold him to account has actually set up their own hangman's noose for themselves. Had Mr. Zuma been where he belongs, which is in jail for the 784 charges of fraud, corruption, and racketeering that Mr. Ramaphosa and his party have protected and shielded him from for the last 15 years, perhaps he wouldn't be leading a political party today. He would be incarcerated in a correctional services facility. So I have no sympathy for Mr. Ramaphosa and his party. It's their spinelessness to deal with the prospect of Mr. Zuma and his sins of omission and commission that has led to him being a political force now that has come and wiped them out in places like KwaZulu-Natal and other parts of the country.
Thank you, sir.
Just as in with
Sorry, just one more question from me and then go. Let's just go. Sorry. And what is your message to investors around the world? They will be nervous right now at the prospect of the different coalitions that will come.
Well, I would say to them this, that the Democratic Alliance, as a centre party that believes fundamentally in the rule of law and a social market economy that treats business and the private sectors as partners in the growth and jobs agenda, with a zero tolerance for corruption, if we are at the heart of the government, they can take comfort in the fact that there will be a responsible party that is going to prevent South Africa sliding towards the radicalism and the Marxist Chavez-style politics that we've seen playing out in our neighbor in Zimbabwe and certainly in other countries in the world that have gone down that path, such as Venezuela. I've said very clearly from the beginning of my leadership, from this very venue when I was re-elected last year, that we will do everything we can to prevent a doomsday coalition in South Africa. Because we are a responsible political party, we will always put South Africa's best interests first.
Mr. Steenhuisen, has the DA entered into coalition talks with the ANC?
No.
Will the DA consider going into a coalition with the ANC?
We will
to keep the EFF and
we will
the
go back to the multi-party charter parties and have a discussion with them once we see the full picture of what the final tally is in their respective areas. We may have a variety of options as a multi-party charter, and not only at a national level, but certainly in a variety of provinces. And we'll obviously have to look at what those are. But my prime loyalty and responsibility is to the multi-party charter, the parties there that have been working together over the last year, and the journey will start there. What happens after that? Well, it'll be a matter of discussion with those particular parties and us looking at the set of cards that voters would have finally dealt once the final results are known. We're little over the halfway mark now, so there's lots of things that can change, a lot of urban centres still to come in. So we'll watch very, very carefully. Once the full picture is known, it will allow me to be able to answer that in probably a bit more fulsome manner than I'm able to at the moment.
What do you think of the DA support at this moment? Are you happy with
I'm very happy. We've been able to do a number of things. We've been able to consolidate our base, we're able to win back support. But if I look at our growth amongst black South Africans, it's double from the last election. And South Africa has a party now, the DA, which is able to draw support from all voter communities in the country. If I look to the parties to the left and right of me, they're able to draw from very limited pools of voters, and they're virtually monochromatic. The DA is really now a party that has grown to represent a wide variety of South Africans and their interests.
Do you think the growth of the DA is enough at this stage? What do you think about that? Some people would have wanted the DA maybe to grow more.
But I mean, that's a bit of an unfair question, because saying, I would love the DA to have got 50% plus one, but it's not a realistic situation. What you want in an election is growth. And what has been delivered here is growth. One of the media houses after 2019 proudly produced a front page that said the death of the DA. Well, those reports of our death have been greatly exaggerated. Here we are, after an election, having grown from the 2019 election, going back with more seats in Parliament than ever before, and being able to be a party that is now a centrifugal force around the future lay of the land in South Africa. I think that's a very, very good outcome for a party like the DA. And of course, we will continue now to grow as more and more voters put their trust in us. There were a lot of people in the media who were telling us that Rise Mzansi was going to replace the DA as the official opposition. The EFF was going to knock us out as the official opposition. That Bosa was now the new kid on the block that was going to take votes. I think if you look at the scoreboard there, the truth of the selection is that the tide has gone out, and now all the for everyone to see who is wearing swimming trunks and who is not. And the DA is wearing a very, very bright blue pair of swimming trunks, which we intend to parlay now into some form of influence over the next couple of weeks and months.
Mr. Steenhuisen, do you feel the ongoing genocide in Gaza has had any impact on this year's election, particularly with the DA?
No, I don't think it has. I think our position has been rational and reasonable from the beginning. We've said very clearly from the beginning of the conflict that we believe in a two-state solution with an independent, sovereign, unoccupied Palestine living next to a secure Israel. We have said we respect the outcomes, the findings of the ICJ, because we're a party of the rule of law. I however maintain that if we want to see peace in the region, we've got to stop the bombardment. I don't think it's going to release the hostages. We need to focus on getting those hostages released. We need to get people around the table to enter into peace talks so that we can start to find a lasting solution for that region. I think it's in the interest not only of that region, but for the world, to have an area, a two-state solution there that brings peace. And I'm really, really hoping that we will be able to move to a massive de-escalation there, that we can get those hostages home, but that we are able to build a lasting peace in that region. Look, the IEC have been a complete disaster in this election. It was our biggest opponent that wasn't on the ballot paper. And I think they're going to be responsible at the end of the day for at least 1% of vote worth of votes share for us. Long queues, voters repelled, turned away, unable to exercise their democratic right. You've got one job. You've got 5 years to prepare for it. And this is the omni-shambles that you produce. And I think there needs to be a higher degree of accountability by the IEC for what has happened. Because you can't be spending this amount of money. You can't tell us you're election ready. When concerns are raised, you brush those aside and say, no, it's all fine. And then we see the omni-shambles that happen on election day. We are considering, I've got my attorneys here, we are busy looking at a variety of options because I think that the IEC are, for all parties, have caused significant damage to our share of the votes. And it cannot be business as usual for the IEC after this election. We gave them another chance after the shambles in the 2021 election, which we believe cost us the Nelson Mandela Bay Metro, because the same long queues, voters being fed up and leaving the queues. We're not going to let them get away again with a second omni-shambles. We need to sort the IEC out. They need to be fit for purpose. They need to be able to do their job properly. And we cannot ever, ever have a situation like we had. And I want to thank those voters who stayed in the queues during the course of these very difficult 24 hours of voting. Thank you for staying in the queues. And I promise you this, we are going to hold the IEC accountable for the 8, 6, 5 hours that people had to stand in the queue to vote. And for all of those South Africans who never, never, and never again will we allow the IEC to go into an election as ill-prepared and shambolic as clearly this situation was in this election.
How would you rate your performance as DA leader?
We've grown. I think that's good. We've won significant support back. We've won new voters. I'm very, very pleased with that. And I hope you're going to be all asking Mr. Ramaphosa and Mr. Malema and all the people whose parties have declined, how they rate their leadership. What you want as a political party is to grow. We've grown. I've been very pleased with the result. And I think it provides us a good springboard for the 2026 local government elections, where we look to take more metros away from the ANC and to complete the electoral demolition of the ANC's majority wherever it may exist.
So you would describe your job as safe at this stage?
Pardon?
Would you say your job is safe at this stage, based on the provisional outcome?
Well, of course my job is safe. The DA's grown. All of you in the media wrote us off. You said I was going to get 17% of the vote. You said Steenhuisen could never grow the DA. I've got more black votes than Mr. Maimani got when he was a leader. I think the DA is very happy with my performance. I'm happy with my performance. I'm very happy with my party's performance. And we are strong. We're ready to contest in the 2026 elections. And we're ready to keep growing because that's what it's all about in politics. We're going to keep growing. Mr. Steenhuisen. Mr. Steenhuisen. Continues, I think the DA is on track for a good election result. We're back in business, and let me tell you, a party with 22, 23, 24% in an era when no party's got a majority becomes a major player when it comes to determining the future lay of the land. So to speak.
There's a lot of chatter about the multi-party charter and how it has served the DA, but hasn't served the rest of the opposition parties that are in that equation. We're seeing how badly the actually, let's say, results are faring in comparison to the DA, not to compare the two parties, but not receiving that same benefit as the DA. How do you reflect on this MPC? Was it a direct strategy for the DA to bring this opposition in order to gain this increase in the 2024?
No, not at all. We entered the multi-party charter because we believe then, and we still fundamentally believe, that bringing together people around common shared values and principles is going to be the way we proceed. Obviously, I am disappointed in some of the results. Actually, they told us they were going to bring 10.56% of the vote to the table. We made an undertaking that we would bring the bulk of what would be needed to get to the 50% plus one. Look, I still think it's early days. There's urban areas that still got to come in big numbers. But yes, I mean, it's been my desire for the multi-party charter to go over the edge. This wasn't the strategy. We made sure that we assisted with funding. We helped some of the smaller parties be put in touch with donors so that they could run their activities. And obviously, I would like to see them doing a bit better. But this is what the people have chosen to vote, and I think we've got to respect that.
And then, of course, we're looking at the national ballot, and we can see that the top three is the ANC, the DA, and the MK party. They've not been able to under those spots. Now we're looking at the DA to see is that relationship or that coalition with the ANC going to be formed come the end of those results being declared and looking at the next government for South Africa.
Well, look, I mean, I think it's a very good day for South Africa. When I said, tomorrow is a better country, well, today is a better country. We said for the last 30 years that the way to rescue South Africa is to break the ANC's majority. We've done that. They're going to end up in the low 40s. And that obviously opens up a whole new universe for politics in South Africa, but to break the log jams and to start building something better for the people of South Africa and our country. And we stand ready to play our role in that as a responsible party and the second largest party. As I've said before, we've got to wait for the results to end before we can start any major discussions. But my first port of call is going to be with my multi-party charter partners. They, 10 other parties. Once the final results are up, we will have a meeting and we will discuss together what we think
family. You know, it's like the whole family is gathered here and it feels warm. So thank you very much for joining us this afternoon. We truly appreciate. Without much ado, we'll be going to take you through the updates on where we are in terms of counting, how provinces are faring from where they are, getting a lot of support from commissioners as well as the executives of the IEC just to make sure that they count, they wrap up, they really must go home. They've been on the ground from when we started special voting, but also have been receiving reports from observer missions, which we appreciate. Some will be brief.
Thank you.